There are actually 5 major properties for a muscle. Number 1, a muscle fiber can be excitable or irritable. They are capable of receiving stimulation and responding to stimulation from the nerves. Number 2 is the muscle fiber or a muscle is contractible. After receiving stimulation, they are capable of contracting or shortening. Number 3 is extensible. A muscle can be stretched without damage by the application of force. Number 4 is elasticity. A muscle is able to return to its original resting shape and length after being extended or contracted. 5 is adaptability. The muscular system is adaptable in that it can be changed in response to how it is used. Example, a muscle will enlarge or undergo hypertrophy with increased work, but on the other hand, it can go into atrophy or wasting away if the muscle is not used properly. There are actually 3 types of muscle in a human body. 1 is a skeletal muscle, 2 cardiac muscle, and 3 is a smooth muscle. Skeletal muscles. These muscles are otherwise called as striated muscles or voluntary muscles because of its properties. These are most abundant, found attached to the skeletal system. They exhibit cross striations under the microscope. They are supplied by somatic nerves, hence under the voluntary control. They consist of numerous muscle fibers that run parallel to each other. Each muscle fiber is multinucleated and cylindrical cells. The second type of muscles are the cardiac muscles. They are otherwise known as the striated or the involuntary muscles. It forms the myocardium of the heart and shows striations, hence striated muscles, but these striations are actually not very prominent. They are supplied by autonomic nerves and hence it is involuntary in nature. They have no capacity to regenerate. Each muscle fiber has single round nucleus placed centrally. Each muscle fiber branches and anastomoses with the neighboring fibers at the intercalated disc. Smooth muscle cells, which are non-striated and involuntary. Each muscle fiber is an elongated spindle-shaped cell with a single nucleus placed centrally. Length of the smooth muscle is variable, that is 15 to 500 micrometer. They often aggregate to form bundles and fascicles. They are found in the wall of the GIT, respiratory tract, urogenital tract and blood vessels. They do not exhibit cross striations. They are supplied by autonomic nerves, hence, you are supposed to tell me that, hence involuntary. Yes, these muscles respond slowly to stimuli, being capable of sustained contractions, therefore do not fatigue easily. Smooth muscles are concerned with the internal homeostasis of the body pertaining to the functioning of wherever they are present, like the GI system, urinary system, reproductive and respiratory system. So, for attaining these kind of functions, there are 2 types of smooth muscles. One is multi-unit smooth muscle and the another one is the unitary smooth muscle. So, as the name indicates, the multi-unit smooth muscles, nerve fibers establish direct contact with several myocytes. Muscles contract under nervous stimuli, for example, smooth muscles of iris and large arteries. And we have the second type, that is the unitary smooth muscles. They have their own rhythmic contractility that is independent of nerve supply. Contraction of muscle is stimulated by stretch, for example, smooth muscles of stomach, intestine and uterus. The precision muscles are usually controlled by 1:1 or unitary type of smooth muscles. We just discussed about 3 muscles, right? So, now why don't we compare each muscle and understand the traits separately so that our understanding about these 3 muscle fibers will be in more detail. So, let's see the chart and I will be explaining to you about each traits of each muscle. We have 4 columns here. One contains a trait, then there we have the skeletal muscle, cardiac muscle and then comes the smooth muscles. As you can see from the chart, the skeletal muscles are cylindrical in shape, whereas cardiac muscles are branching and anastomosing and smooth muscles are spindle shaped. Skeletal muscles are very long and uniform in size and cardiac muscles are long but little variable in size, whereas smooth muscles are small and variable in size. Multiple flattened nucleuses lies beneath the sarcolemma in cases of skeletal muscles, whereas in cardiac muscles there is a single nucleus, it's oval and it lies centrally. In smooth muscles, we still have a single nucleus which lies centrally and they are oval, elongated and flattened. Whereas in the case of cross striations of myofibril, we can see alternating dark and light bands which are actually conspicuous in case of skeletal muscles. This happens only when you check a muscle under the microscope. In cardiac muscle, there are obvious cross striations, but bands are less conspicuous, whereas in smooth muscles, they are all absent. Branching of fibers are absent in skeletal muscles, whereas present in cardiac muscle, and smooth muscles, they are again absent. Intercalated disc is absent in skeletal muscle, present in cardiac muscle, and absent in smooth muscles. So, from this you can understand that the intercalated disc is present only in a cardiac muscle. Sarcolemma, we have a thick sheath in skeletal muscles, thin sheath in cardiac muscle, whereas very thin in smooth muscles. Composition of fibers, multiple fibers are present in skeletal muscles. A single branching cell is present in a cardiac muscle, and we have single cell in smooth muscle. When you discuss about the development of each muscle, there is a somatic development that is happening in the skeletal muscle. Splanchnic mesoderm, the cardiac muscle is actually developed from the splanchnic mesoderm, and smooth muscle is actually developed from the mesenchyme mesoderm. Contractions, rapid, powerful and not sustained contractions happen in a skeletal muscles. Moderately rapid, not sustained contractions happen in a cardiac muscles. It's a more slow but a sustained contraction happens in smooth muscles.